What's up, everybody? It's Kelsee Briana J, and today I'm doing 3 looks using the newest palette from Natasha Denona, the Pastel Palette. So I ordered this from her website, and I am very pleased with ordering from Natasha Denona's website. I normally get mine within 2 days. 2 days without paying for expedited shipping, and so I love that. On her website, she typically does a pre-order, and the day that something normally launches is on my doorstep, and that has been my experience for like the past 5 or 6 launches from Natasha Denona. So that's just a little tidbit if you are wanting to get your hands on it a little bit earlier. I've been ordering directly from her website, and I've been getting really good results. So I live in the South, so I don't know if it's like that all across America, but in the South, it's quick. So this is what the palette looks like. It has a gradient of pink to purple to green. It's indicative of what the palette looks like. Very pastel, pretty, Eastery type colors. Y'all know, being from the South, anything pastel is automatically associated with Easter. So this one is a midi-sized palette. It's $65. Let me go ahead and open it up. It definitely comes with that mirror. You don't lose that feature. And then here's what the palette looks like. So this palette has a mix of finishes. As you guys can see, the tones here, very pastel, very light. The deepest shade is right here. But overall, the vibe is that it's a light palette because it is a pastel palette. So if you're a person who doesn't like light eyeshadows, or if you feel like you need a little bit more, you might have to reach outside of it, because with this, you're just gonna get the pastels because it is true to the name. Description. So on Natasha's website, it says, travel beyond traditional pastels with Natasha's stunning selection of deliciously creamy springtime shades. From playful pinks and yellows to delicate purples and blues, the pastel palette is bursting with lush, inspiring color. Along with her signature cream powder mattes, sparkling metallics, and duochromes, the pastel palette also introduces an innovative new formula, a vibrant translucent multi-chrome that can be worn alone or as an illuminating top coat. I hope that you guys found the swatches helpful. I do want to go ahead and dive into the looks. Like I said, I'm doing 3 different looks with this palette. Y'all know I immediately am drawn to the purples, but I did incorporate all the shades in these palettes throughout the different looks. So let's go ahead and roll into that, and then at the end of the video, I'll tell you guys my final thoughts on this palette. So stay tuned and enjoy. Here's the first look that we're doing using the pastel palette. The mattes in this palette are pretty light, but I'm gonna dip into Bellini first, and it's a lighter matte shade, but this is pretty much the closest shade in this palette that somewhat resembles a flesh tone shade. So I'm gonna take this shade and use it as my transition shade, and I'm using a fluffy brush. This one is an Omnia BOM 44 brush, and I'm just fluffing this back and forth in my crease. And this is gonna take a little bit of time to build up. I do have on a lighter eyeshadow base to help the colors pop, and I think that's really imperative, especially if you have deeper skin. The deeper the skin, the lighter the base needs to be. So with that, just take your time and build up this shade. It's always going to be a lighter shade, so don't fret if you don't feel like it's getting to be super opaque. It's not really intended to do that. It's supposed to be a light pastel shade. So back and forth, that's pretty much what we're going to get, and that's our first step. I am going to deepen it just a little bit with the shade Bora, and I'm taking the Sonia G Mini Booster Brush, and I'm just going to lightly pop that directly in the crease. I'm not going to put this on the lid. I just want this to be right in the crease area. So I'm just going to take that shade back and forth, and basically it's just going to be a little whisper of purple. Not anything too popping, too dramatic. I just want it to be a slight hint of the shade purple there, you know, because I love purple. Now let's pick up Mint's Frost, same brush. Carefully, I just want to tap this on the outer corner on the lid and then bring it up. This is a shimmer forward shade, so just be forewarned. If you put too much on the brush, you're gonna get fallout. I feel like I put just a touch too much. You got a little bit of fallout, it's okay. But just be aware that that can happen. But that's what we're going for. I can kind of spend some time and build it up a little bit, but pretty much I'm just gonna roll with the sheer application for the most part. So there we go. Next, I'm gonna dip into Adriatic. I'm just gonna pop that right next to that shade, more so in the center. It's kind of like a aquatic teal blue green shade. Okay, so we got that on the lid. And then I'm gonna pop into Limoncello. And I want that on the inner corner. Ooh, Limoncello. Come through. It's kind of hard pans. Limoncello, don't do this. My limoncello is getting hard pan. Hold on, guys. Let me try to pick some up. Shoo. And then I'm gonna tap it on and then blend it over. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap around and take Limoncello on the inner corner on the lower lash line too. Boom. And on the rest of the lower lash line, let's go in with Adriatic. So this is what we're looking like. So let me go ahead and add some liner and lashes and I'll be right back. And here is the finished look. All makeup details will be listed down below. I'm gonna start off with the shade Tulle. I'm going to take this in my crease. I already laid down my base. Again, I used a MAC paint pot just so I can really mute out my eyelid shade and it'll give me a little more of a pop. So I'm just gonna take this back and forth. This is gonna be my transition shade, just like that. I'm gonna take the same brush and pick up a little bit of the shade Bora. And again, let's pop that in the crease and blend it over. This shade is super light, so it's gonna take a minute to build up any type of intensity. But I just want that to add a little bit of depth on the outer crease. You see what that did there? It's very subtle because that shade is pretty light, even though it's the deepest looking shade in the pan. It's pretty light in its application. Now I want a little bit of the shade Bubble, and I'm gonna take that on the outer corner. I actually am gonna take this shade with the rougher number 12 brush. With this brush, I can get more intensity with this shade. So I'm just gonna take this brush and pack that shade on the outer corner. That shade is really light. It's taking a minute to build it up. It's not really giving me a lot of opacity here. It's pretty much just gonna be like that sheer type shade. Next, with the rougher 02 flat shader brush, I'm gonna pick up a bit of the shade Feather and pat that all over the lid. The rougher 02 flat shader brush is one of my all-time favorite eyeshadow brushes. So I'm just gonna pack this shade on. Let's pat it next to the outer corner color. Let's bring it up towards the crease and give ourselves a feather. No, I'm just kidding. I want this color to be pretty solid, so it may take a minute to get everything to be completely even toned across the lid because this is a matte shade. So sometimes when you're blending mattes, you may get a little bit of patchiness there before it's completely opaque, but that's okay. Just keep going. And on the inner corner, I'm gonna pop on Dainty and just build that shade up right on the inside of your eyelid and then bring it over, just like so. Let me clean up everything and I'll be right back with liner and lashes already applied. To finish off the lower lash line, I'm just gonna go back in with Tulle and take that across and just buff it out really lightly. Add a little bit of mascara and then we'll be done. Be right back. And here's the finished second look using the pastel palette. And this is the third and final look that we're doing using the pastel palette in this video. I'm gonna start off with Feather. I just said that weird. Feather in the crease. Okay. This is going to be my transition shade. Wayne 17 brush. I'm now gonna dip into Airy. Pop that on the outer corner. And blend it up towards the crease, just like so. Okay. Flat shader, and let's pop into Illusion. Let's take that on the inner corner and blend it over. And then with the same brush, let's pick up Duet. Let's pop that in the empty space. I'm just going to drag it and then tap just to get that pigmentation going. This is gonna take a minute to build up because it's pretty sheer. Take your time and build this up and blend it with the matte. Sometimes matte and shimmer shades can be a little bit of a pain in the butt to blend. So you might have to lay down that shimmer and then pop back into the matte and then just tap over the edge. And then you might have to go back in the shimmer and then go tap over the edge again. It's just all a part of blending. You may have to go back and forth a few times before everything looks seamless. That's what we're going for. So let me go ahead and do the other eye, liner and lashes, and I'll be right back. Ooh, she's back with white eyeliner and rhinestones. What? Okay, let's finish off the look. For my highlight, I'm gonna dip into Illusion. Okay. So I want that nice whisper of that pinkish cotton candy shade on my cheeks. Pretty. And then I'm gonna do Duet as my blush. A weird blush shade, but I'm going with it. I'm gonna go on top with a little bit of Tulle, just to soften up that purple shade, because the purple shade kind of is pulling green just a little bit. Illusion again, yet again. Lower inner corner. Wayne got 06 brush. Y'all, should I put this green? I feel like I'm already dipping in it, and I kind of want to do it. It might not be right, but it's okay. I'm gonna do it anyway. It's not that bad. It's still pretty light. So I'm just gonna take that all the way across. Like boom. So here's the finished look using the Pastel Palette 3, and I'm done. Let me know what you all think about this one. It's a little bit more extra than the other two. You know you gotta go out with a bang. So here we go. It's me again from the beginning of the video, remember? Okay, so you have reached the end of the video for the most part, but before you go, I do want to share my final thoughts about this palette. But first, I just want to say thank you so much for watching until the end. It was 3 different looks. Hopefully you guys got a little bit of inspiration. If you do recreate any of the looks, make sure you tag me on Instagram. And also your girl has a TikTok, so follow me on there. I haven't posted anything yet, but everywhere that I'm on the internet, it's linked down in my description box. It's all Kelsee Briana J. So now let's talk about my final thoughts about the Pastel Palette. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say, I think the palette is very beautiful. I like the pastel color story because I don't have a lot of that in my collection. However, if I'm talking about the formulation of this palette, I just feel like it was lightly pigmented. I would have liked for it to be a little bit more punchy. I know that it's a pastel palette, so I don't want to take away from the pastel tones. I do like the lighter tones because everything is not going to be vibrant. Everything is not going to be the boldest version of a color possible. It's a pastel palette, so I went into it knowing that these tones are going to be lighter. They're going to be airier. The name is the Pastel Palette, so you get what you get. But I do think that these could have been formulated with a little bit more pigmentation, so I didn't have to pack it on as much. And I'm namely talking about the shimmer shades just because they weren't as creamy as some of Natasha Denona's other shimmer shades are. I felt like these were just a little bit coarser, and it took me a little bit longer to build up the shade intensity that I was looking for. I don't know if she did that on purpose or not, because I know a lot of people automatically correlate pastels with being lightly pigmented, but I don't think pastels have to be lightly pigmented even though the color is light. Pastel refers to the color and not the intensity. These could have been a little bit more pigmented in my opinion, and I could have reached my desired outcome faster than I did with the amount of pigmentation that these eyeshadows gave. And I did use a lighter base, which is necessary if you want these colors to pop if you have a deeper complexion. Y'all know I don't have the deepest complexion, and I still felt like I needed to have a lighter base to get these colors to pop on me. The paler you are, the more these are going to be vibrant and lighter and show up a little bit better. The deeper you are, the more work you're going to have to put into making these shades pop more. So if you have a deeper complexion than me, don't fret. You still can use these. You're just going to have to go in with a white base underneath and then these shades. And then with this being a pastel palette, I would automatically go in with the mindset of knowing that don't put any of these shades in your crease because they're just going to look ashy. Because they are pastel, the base is white, they are chalky, that is what they are meant to do. Go in with the mentality that this is an entire palette dedicated to lid shades or inner corner shades. But creases, If you're deeper than me, it's really not gonna work. And honestly, for my complexion, I made it work just because I'm doing a dedicated video to this palette. But personally, going forward with me using this palette, I will probably reach outside of this palette to do crease work, even if it's a mid-tone brown shade with these, just because it's gonna ground the look a little bit better and help me blend it and have a little bit more of a seamless transition versus using pastel shades in the crease, because it can read ashy real quick. But these worked for me, but I just wouldn't press it, you know what I'm saying? So I like it, I don't love it. I think all of my looks turned out really beautifully, and every day I've been going different places with my eyes done with this palette, and every day I get so many compliments. People say, oh my gosh, your eyes are so pretty, they remind me of spring, your eyes look like a floral bouquet. I'm like, thank you so much, because I do think that this delivers beautiful eye looks. It's just you're gonna have to do a little bit more work, and I don't think that I should have had to work this hard, especially given Natasha Denona's track record. But I will say that I have noticed, for me personally, I prefer her more pricey palettes, and I cannot 100% confirm this, but I just feel like when she comes out with the pricier palettes, the $129 palettes, the quality is a little bit higher, the pigmentation is higher, and the blend is a little bit more seamless versus the $65 palettes, which are good, but I personally feel like they are a notch below, and I can just tell with how the eyeshadows blend and the pigmentation of the eyeshadows. They're not bad. $65 is not a cheap palette. It's still a good palette. But if I'm comparing apples to apples, I'm going to choose her $129 palettes all day, every day. Not all of them are on the same level. I do owe you guys a new ranking video, which is going to be coming soon. For some reason, my spidey senses are telling me that Natasha is going to give us another palette very soon. One more palette and I will re-rank them. But I got y'all. I like the palette. This is a season exclusive palette in my opinion. Beyond the spring season, I don't see myself reaching for this in the summer. To me, it doesn't really read summer. It looks like a spring palette. Definitely not fall and winter. You know, you can do what you want to do. Your makeup style is your makeup style. I'm not a person who subscribes to, oh, you can only wear this in this season or only wear that in that season. If that's not what you want to do. But me personally, this looks like a spring palette. Just carefully consider that. If you're a collector like me, it's a good one, not a great one. I like it, don't love it. Let me know your thoughts on it down below. If you've gotten it or if you haven't gotten it, are you interested in it? Let me know. And let me know which look of mine you like the best. Because I feel like it's this one. I'm giving Euphoria. Not really. I'm giving 2002. Because I was there during the original time when girls were putting rhinestones on their eyes. Because I was right there with them. Hey. But let me know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe. Ring that bell to become a Kel Belle. And I'll check you guys in my very next video. Which will be super, super soon. Smooches. Bye.